So good morning, everyone. Thank you for making time to join us for the flagship Intelliverse Africa AI Summit 2023. We are privileged today to have all of you, stakeholders from different industries all across the continent. We're also privileged in our audience to have our community of data scientists. And we hope that through this event, we might shed a lot of light and a lot of insights towards the development of artificial intelligence on our continent. We have a lot lined up for you here. But first of all, just a welcoming remarks to all of you. And if a friend hasn't joined yet, I'm sure LinkedIn has notifications. You could still stream it on YouTube. You could join us live on Twitter, on our Twitter space. And also, you could join us live on LinkedIn. So we have a host of speakers that lined up for you today. Speakers from diverse sectors and people who have made significant contributions towards artificial intelligence development in our continent here. So the program schedule was provided on our social media handles, so you could follow along with that. So feel free to join in on whatever discussion that you feel you have interest in. Also feel free to join in on the discussions that you think you might also want to learn a lot from. We have distinguished speakers with us here today, and the first one has already joined us here, Dr. Jack. I'll leave the introduction bit to him. So foremost, Warren, I think I could hand it over to you. Maybe a warm welcome remark to our audience before we could carry on.
Thank you, Marwa. I can't believe the day is finally here with us. It's been like a month of preparations and like a lot of ideation that has gone behind this summit. I think I do remember the first time we thought about the summit after some of the events we've been doing at Intelliverse, and we are like, how exactly is this summit going to play out? Who are we going to expect? But then, like, it's like beyond our wildest expectations that we have like over 1,700 people joining us today from different platforms. And just to highlight, today we are going to stream on YouTube, we are streaming on Twitter, and we are also streaming on LinkedIn. So feel free to join either of the platforms. LinkedIn obviously is where we have most of the activity is, but you can join us, watch it live on YouTube. You can watch it live from Twitter as well, Twitter Spaces, and of course, Marwa said it, and I'm going to just iterate. We are going to have a lot of speakers and a lot of panel discussions today, and it's going to be a very interactive session to just get to know exactly the state of AI in our continent, and specifically just to mention the theme for today, which is AI research, the role of research in AI development in Africa. At Intelliverse, we are always thinking about research. For developers who are joining us today, if you've ever done Android, you know that in Flutter, everything is a widget. So at Intelliverse, everything starts with research. We believe that research is very key to any active development or any advancement in technology across different spheres, be it those who are like our Web3 fellows, our blockchain counterparts, web developers. So welcome to the session. If you're a business leader, this is an opportunity for you to get to know how AI can help you build your business further, grow, be it your user base, customer base, or even just managing employees. So today we are having business leaders over here. So there's going to be a networking session. Feel free to ask any questions that you may be having, how AI is going to help your business grow. For developers who are who are already in AI, this is an opportunity for you to also interact with other developers who are working in AI. For developers who are like looking to switch from other disciplines, Android, web, blockchain into AI, there's also an opportunity for you to just get to learn what opportunities AI has for you in Africa as a developer in the African space and the African continent. Researchers and people from the academic background. I know this in Africa, there's one one area which people are keen on, the academia bit of it. And again, research is very academic and very intensive when it comes to like papers and everything else. So this is an opportunity for you as somebody from the academia to just get to know how your papers matter to the development of AI in continent, how you can take part by either being an active researcher in some of the projects that Intelliverse is spearheading, or just publishing some of your papers in one of our upcoming research platform, and how you can collaborate with other researchers across the continent to just get to know what's going on in the continent, and also just do a lot more from the academic field. So I know I may not have captured. Yes, we are having lawyers in the room as well. People who are very keen on regulations. People from government as well. People from NGOs as well. Like, this is going to be just an opportunity for you to get to know who's working on what as far as AI in the continent is concerned, and also just to also take part, in this very interactive session. So as I said before, we are having people from different countries. Unfortunately, we'll be using English for this stream. So our French guys, I know we can. There's going to be a translation for it, and even the papers that we are going to, the presentations are going to be shared with you after the event. But then for this session, it's just having you to. We are going to be using English. I don't know if any of our presenters is going to use a different language, but you're going to use English for this session. So just to note, and don't feel left out. If you feel like you'd want some of these things translated into French, into Congolese, Kiswahili, afterwards, our team will be more than willing and happy to have it for you translated in the language that you want. So thank you so much for joining. Just to say again, we are happy to have you be whether you are streaming from YouTube, you are streaming from LinkedIn, you are streaming from Twitter Spaces. This is an opportunity for you. And with that, I'm going to just take this opportunity to welcome one of the best AI ambassadors in the continent. He has spoken in various platforms, and he'll tell you, like, if I was to read his CV, I'll take like an hour or so, but then it's just an opportunity to welcome Jacques to kick us off with a presentation on the state of AI, and also just to set us rolling for the day. Thank you so much, Jacques. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Warren, Cornelius, Intelliverse AI Africa Summit. It's fantastic to be here. I'm actually here, not my typical studio, but I'm at an airport, Lansera Airport. So I hope the background noise is not too much. I'm sitting in a restaurant, so I'm going to share my screen. So I'll kick off. I'm excited to be part of this, and Warren, Cornelius, you guys are rocking. So it's great to be here. So let me share my screen. I'm going to start sharing my screen right now. Share screen. Entire screen. Share. I'm just going to take that away and put it in full screen mode. I just would like to see Warren, Cornelius. Can you guys just verify that you actually see my screen? I'm putting it in full screen mode.
Yes, Jacques, I can see your screen.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to kick off without further ado. I'm kicking off here as well, so let's just hide that. My talk specifically is about something I'm very passionate about, and it's focused on pushing AI innovation to develop state-of-the-art personalized AI intelligent agents on trustworthy AI guardrails for a decentralized world. So those kind of title, it summarizes pretty much what I'm interested in right now, and I think what is also very important for the world. We definitely want to see artificial intelligence not just being controlled by the tech giants and big other corporates, but I would love to see, and this is why I also wrote a book, Democratizing AI to Benefit Everyone, which you can see there towards the right. It's also available on jacquesludik.com, on Amazon, other places. PDFs available from my website. But in there, I actually talk about my massive transformative purpose in shaping a better future in the smart technology era, and how we should actually democratize artificial intelligence to benefit everyone. And it should be on the use as well as the benefits side as well. So can data be monetized, for instance, and services be monetized? Can we have our own personalized AI assistant that helps us? So I'm interested specifically, and that's why I'm talking about pushing AI innovation, in the underlying building blocks that will enable this kind of personalized AI, and also a personalized AI in a decentralized world. Now, fortunately, with blockchain, decentralized, distributed ledgers, all of these kind of underlying technologies are all fantastic tools in the toolbox that allows us to do these kind of things now. So the tools are made available. I will, in my talk, also reference new protocols for the internet, Web 3.0, which is called the spatial web. So we can do spatial computing, which I think is going to be super important for intelligent agents and robots going forward, utilizing the new protocols that's not just hypertext, but hyperspace. Hyperspace modeling language and hyperspace transactional protocols and so forth. So I'll be talking a little bit about those kind of things as well. Another thing that's important for me is trustworthy AI guardrails in a decentralized world. So we've got to make sure that we do this in a responsible way. So we want to empower people. We want to optimize quality of life. That speaks to the massive transformative purpose and also the MTP for humanity, where I specifically say not only optimizing GDP, but specifically optimizing quality of life. So I will talk about that as well. So what I envision is a kind of an ecosystem of intelligence, where we see a collective of intelligent agents, both human and synthetic, that's collaborating in harmony and work together to create a better and smarter world. So it's really all about, that's the vision to unlock societal and business value at scale. So that's very much what's driving me at the moment. Okay, so without further ado, I wrote quite a bit of stuff. If you go to LinkedIn and X and my website as well, my blogs, you will see quite a bit of writings on AI and Web3, the next generation of the internet for a decentralized world. I'm giving comments on the so-called AI singularity, is it a threat to humanity or a promise for a better future, even quantum computing, talking about generative AI, all of those kind of things as well. So we live in the AI era. This is a modified slide from SoftBank. For me, it's not just AI. AI is a key technology in the smart technology era, but probably the most dominant one. And it sits on top of the internet era. And the internet was really enabling, almost like instrumenting the world effectively. And now we are in a situation where we can unlock, with all the data generation at an exponential rate, we can actually unlock value, tremendous value, with artificial intelligence. And this is actually a slide from Versus that talks about the new era. This corresponds to the smart technology era that I talk about. And there's different ways of describing it in different perspectives. So you can say from an industry 1.0 to industry 4.0 level, you can go through that transition. This is like the industrial revolutions that we talk about. And currently we're sitting in a cyber physical system space. But then you can also look at this at a societal level, where you're going from society 1.0 all the way up to society 5.0. And just recently we were still in the information, we're still probably in information society, but we are getting into a smart society at this point. And then Web 3.0 is all about read, write, execute, read, write, own as well. I've got some presentations on that. And we're also sitting in the age of cybernetics from a tools perspective, where you see the fusion of human and machine. So that is all part of this new era. And I think it's important to understand this and to have this contextualized. Now, we're sitting in dangerous times as well. So I do write about this in my book as well. We need to think carefully about the future. There's opportunities to leapfrog. There's opportunities for Africa. We're sitting at the AI Africa Summit here. Incredible opportunities to leapfrog. But we have to make smart decisions, make the right choices to shape that better future for humanity. And we need a lot of stakeholders, all the stakeholders, to really collaborate. And I do talk about in my book, chapter 10, also about the problematic trajectory that our civilization is on at the moment. We are struggling with sense making. We see the polarization that's happening. We are, as humans, connected to this civilization intellect. this civilization consciousness, and we are getting a lot of information from around the globe. It's almost like that it's providing us with so much sensor or information, and now people struggle with sense making, meaning making. We've got capitalists, we've got democracies, governance systems, economic systems that we need to fix as well. Ray Dalio also talks about fixing capitalism as well. Wealth gap, job loss, catastrophic risk, discrimination, data abuse, bias, human agency. This is all things that we need to be aware of, and say, how are we going to navigate to get to a better future? So what we need is visionary leadership, collective sense-making, wisdom, practical actions to ensure that humanity and our civilization is moving in the right direction as we work towards this unlocking of this incredible potential that we have. So I'm excited about this, and this is why these kind of conferences, what Warren and Cornelius and others are doing, this is important leadership. We just need to take it now to the next level with collective sense-making wisdom, that more people are making better sense of this, but also actually do things about. So the practical actions are very, very important. So just to frame things, because I feel it's almost like as a humanity, as individuals, we need a massive transformative purpose. So in my book, I've defined a massive transformative purpose for humanity. I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but I just want to set the framework because it fits in with this trustworthy AI guardrails for me as well. The purpose is very important. And this is something that aligns with United Nations 2030 vision as well. So evolve a dynamic, empathic. We want to have people with empathy that appreciate cultures, that understands other people, that steel man other thinking, that tries to understand others' opinions. We want prosperous, thriving, self-optimizing civilization that benefits everyone, not just a select few, in sustainable ways and in harmony with nature. And then what I specifically talk about here is the four quadrants or four buckets here. The first one is on the systems level, decentralized adaptive systems to benefit all. And this is all part of that MTP, by driving beneficial outcomes for all life through decentralized, adaptive and agile economic, social and governance systems. We're not going to solve all our problems just with technology or just with this part of this. We need to think holistically. So we need to think about our systems. We've got to be systems thinkers. And what I envisage is kind of this adaptive, agile, decentralized system where we can reward active participation and positive contribution to society and civilization. And that could be the new forms of jobs and works or tasks. And there could be tokens and all sorts of different things of rewarding people for their positive contributions. And the incentives need to be there. But we also need to think about the collective. So there needs to be a fine balance between the individual and the collective. So we want to keep peace and protect humanity from any potential harm in elastic ways. We've seen this with COVID as well. There are some dangers that we face that goes across borders. Lethal autonomous weapons. Think about biological viruses, climate change, all of these things. We have to collaborate as humanity. And in a few hundred years from now, we will see that it will probably be no borders, frictionless communication. That's and a kind of a world where we collaborate as well. Very important is that we need to democratize smart tech and science in human-centric ways that are based on wisdom, good values, and ethics to dynamically solve problems, create opportunities in abundance, and share the benefits with everyone. And I think very importantly, we need to get our purpose and our drivers right. We need to optimize and maximize quality of life. We need to define what does it mean. Community building, more local, more human kind of future. Virtues and character strength development. Sense-making, standard living, well-being, meaningful living for everyone. That should be our drivers, and we should use technology for those benefits. And then obviously, we need to have a sustainable, livable planet and exploring the universe. So with consideration of the best possible livable habitat not only for ourselves, but all living organisms. So we need to look at that environment and we need to explore the universe. Elon Musk talks about going to Mars, those kind of things. Obviously, we need to think about those kind of things as well. Now, what I've defined here, and I will be very quickly going to get into the pushing AI innovation specifically, but I've got 14 goals that I've defined that actually speaks to this massive transformative purpose for humanity. I'm not going to go through details, but it's speaking to this. And this aligns with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 goals. as well. So this MTP for Humanity with these 14 goals is supporting and empowering effectively the SDGs as well, and help us to potentially achieve that in a quicker fashion as well. Okay, so the future that I envisioned is also, and this is something from Kai-Fu Lee in one of his TED Talks, and I've just modified it a bit, but you can envision a kind of world, if you think about tasks and jobs, where you can say it's not just on a single x-axis, where you've got just things on optimize, creativity, and strategy, but we can add other dimensions from a human-centric perspective, like, say, compassion. So the moment you do that, you can say, okay, there's jobs and tasks where less compassion is needed, and there are ones that more compassion is needed. So obviously, if you look at this quadrant where less compassion is needed and you can optimize things, then AI is going to play a big role. When you move to the right, there's more creativity and strategy. Yes, we've got generative AI and also the creativity, but you still have human and machine that can create wonderful things as well. So it's about adapting. So yes, you can play there. But when you move up and you define tasks and things that is really compassionate, more human-centric, then you've got AI by the warm embrace of humans. And you've got also a space where humans can flourish as well. So we can define this canvas, this map of tasks. We can add other dimensions, not only compassion. This is just a two-dimensional graph. So this is just showcasing how we can navigate this kind of future for humanity. Okay, now we can create a smarter world. This is again a slide from Versus, where they're talking about real-world AI, smarter apps, automation, where you can effectively infuse intelligence into everything. That is where we're heading. Even if we don't like it or not like it, this is where we're heading. So can we do this in a responsible, smart way? And the answer is yes, we can. We just need to be smart. In terms of AI innovation, it feels like generative AI is taking over. It's the end all, but it's not. There are other types of AI that we need to research, like active inference, for instance, that plays with the spatial web, where we can very specifically create trustworthy AI, responsible AI, explainable AI as well. So I see this kind of massive toolbox where you've got wonderful generative AI that we need to obviously explore further and tap into the LLMs. And there's also Jan LeCun's energy-based self-supervised learning, which I think is going to potentially replace LLMs or transformer-based kind of approaches as well. But then you've got active inference as well, as it, which is based on the free energy principle. Now we're going to talk a little bit about those kind of things as well. So in the spatial web, which is a integrated, hyper-personalized, hyper-automated, ethical aligned network of humans, machines, and AI, we see a spatial web made up of sensors, agents, like humans and AIs, and actors, such as robots and drones, that is operating in a responsible way. So this is just that kind of future. I also have this slide that I put together. I talk about this in my book as well, where you can think about the real physical world, but you can think about the digital world, where you've got things integration. And then you can also think about virtual cyber world and kind of the metaverse, where you've got data integration, but also semantic integration. Infusing intelligence into business processes and to equipment and all sorts of different things. So then we can realize the true value of the internet. Okay, so just a little bit about kind of this spatial web. So with physics-based data, you can do mapping of semantic and spatial data together. That's exciting. Digital world models, you can actually enable context-aware information and activities to be collaboratively shared between networks and devices and applications. And Versus is actually projecting it as like the new AI. But in my mind, it's all part of that toolbox. We are going to improve the transformer generative AI-based solution systems, the deep learning systems, reinforcement learning. There's going to be the energy-based self-supervised learning. But this is definitely a new kid on the block with incredible potential, based on natural intelligence as well, based on the principle of free energy, where you try to minimize surprise. This is how us as humans function. This is how cells in our body function, and this is a very important part of the tool stack as well. Specifically, Versus is talking about kind of this intelligence cognitive process of figuring out the optimal path to achieve goals based on requirements, constraints, and affordances. So you've got act and sense on the physical side, on the digital side, you've got plan and model. And then you can create all sorts of, they talk about this COSM intelligence loop, but at a later time, one can go into these kind of things. So I mentioned personalized AI. So what I also talk about in the book, and there's also a website, Sapiens.network, where I communicate the concept. Really what I'm after here is to see, can we create a decentralized, human-centric, user-controlled, AI-driven super platform as well? Can we create personalized AI, and not the personalized AI that Inflection is talking about, or some of the others are talking about, which is still controlled to centralized to a certain extent. I'm talking about how can we make it decentralized, private, explainable, trustworthy, human-centric, user-controlled. And then I go into more details here. I'm talking about Sapiens here. You can go. The concept here is gaining complete control of your personal data with secure, privacy-focused storage and management system. You simplify your life with your own proactive AI system that bats for you, that understands your needs, wants, goals, providing personalized guidance, recommendations, and alerts, monetizing your data and services while you sleep, connect seamlessly with your other digital systems as well. So I think this is the kind of things that we need to create. And currently, we don't have anything like this at all. We don't have personalized AI agents. We don't have a global solution at scale that makes it easy to use these kind of things. A user doesn't have full control of their own data with proper privacy and governance. People can't monetize their own data and services properly. We don't have a system that aligns and embraces the massive transformative purpose for humanity and goals that align with United Nations SDGs. Very fragmented in the West. There's no agents that also works on a family community basis, smart visual groups basis, smart towns, smart cities, smart states. So there's all these kind of things coming to play. So, and then there's no agent that try to optimize the connections between network people that live in these kind of environments. So I've got more things that I talk about this. So I do see kind of my data, fully secured storage management, my AI assistant, and my digital connections. And my AI assistant is really about optimizing my life, monetizing data and services, being like a lifelong, life-wide learning, helps with sense making, proactively supports me, provides guidance, all of those kind of things, what's important. And also we should be careful not to have this dependence locking as well. So it can really understand where we are in our our maturity and understanding of concepts as well. Okay, so here I go into a little bit more details, but basically what I want to communicate here is this kind of AI assistance. Obviously, the tools that we've got available now is incredible. So with generative AI, it is incredibly important building block, and especially for natural language processing and natural language understanding and communicating with people to make it more natural to communicate. We're going to see this infused everywhere, and this is also part of the intelligent agents kind of toolbox. But the way I'm looking at this, I see what we need to do in terms of AI innovations is to obviously tap into state-of-the-art generative AI. We have, in my mind, we have to tap into active inference-based technology as well. I'll talk a little bit about this. Carl Friston is really behind the free energy principle and active inference, and Versus is really defined the path around the spatial web, but also embracing active inference. And then we've got energy-based self-supervised learning, which is really, I'm excited about that as well, because I think Jan LeCun is onto something in terms of addressing limitations of large language models and transformer-based networks as well. So if one goes and looks at the generative AI stack, there are plenty of things that one can do to tap into this and really try to figure out how to use this and create valuable applications. So that obviously we already see incredible stuff happening on the application layer, but there's so much that we can do on a foundational level as well. Creating our own foundational models. I'm excited about the open source movement because with open source you can also customize as well. And I know what GPT-4 and OpenAI obviously made this kind of GPT-4 for all available, which is great, but they still control the foundational models. But at least it's opening up the door, which is exciting. But there's plenty of things to do. So this is clearly things that one needs to do, and obviously we need less hallucination. We need enhanced LLMs with human-like cognitive skills. provide trustworthy AI guardrails, guarantees output quality, data security. Those kind of things are super important. But then I'm very excited about, as I've mentioned, about active inference AI based on free principle, and as well as energy-based self-supervised learning. And in terms of the bigger framework, these building blocks for intelligent agents is also critical for the next generation of the internet for a decentralized world. Think about Web 3.0. Also, the evolution of autonomous intelligent agents, so that we do this in a responsible fashion, going from systemic intelligence to sentient to sophisticated intelligence, which is like AGI, to sympathetic intelligence and shared intelligence instead of just super intelligence. And I'll quickly talk about this briefly here now. I think the evolution of autonomous intelligent agents is very important to have a responsible path that we guide this on. So systemic intelligence is really the ability to recognize patterns and respond. So that's the current state of the art in AI. Then sentient intelligence, the ability to perceive and respond to the environment in real time. Sophisticated intelligence, the ability to learn, adapt to new situations based on sentient behavior. Sympathetic or sapient intelligence, the ability to understand and respond to emotions and needs of others. And then finally, shared intelligence is the ability to work together with humans, other agents, and physical systems to solve complex problems and achieve goals. So I know there's a lot of doom around superintelligence and runaway intelligence, but there's a better path. There's a more responsible path that's also aligned with the massive transformative purpose for humanity and sustainable development goals that United Nations has spelled out for us. And there's guardrails, trustworthy AI guardrails, ethical, robust, lawful AI guardrails. This is what I'd like to promote as well. So if you think about towards artificial general intelligence, there's many ways of looking at it. You can obviously say, you can talk about reactive, limited memory, theory of mind, self-aware, where you're going from narrow AI to general AI and super AI. I'm more for this type of roadmap as well. And I think if we think about AGI, one can look at the vectors of intelligence, where you can look at things also more task-specific, broad and flexible in general. This is actually a slide from Joshua Bach, where he talked about AGI as a system that reaches human level or beyond at all capability dimensions, and specifically talking about these kind of different or 9 sectors as well. So you can almost then say, if you look at any kind of intelligent agent or system, you can place it on this radar chart. You can say, where is it in terms of reasoning? Is it task-specific, broad, or is it general? You can do it from a learning perspective, representations perspective, knowledge perspective, language perspective, collaboration, autonomy, embodiment, perception. So this is a really nice way of looking at AGIs and where we really are. Now, if you look at the current LLMs, there are functional limitations. Reliability, obviously we can do better training with reinforcement learning with human feedback, or reinforcement learning with AI feedback. You can improve the truthfulness by, say, combining it with a prover. You can have more coherence, maybe a different loss function. In terms of creativity, novelty, invention, or authorships, there are various things that one can do in that space as well. On the capability side, one can enhance LLMs with image-guided diffusion. Online learning, you can use databases and fine-tuning. Mathematics, you can use algebra systems. And especially if you look at, say, what Wolfram Alpha is doing, and Stephen Wolfram, where they're looking at computation and bringing in that as well. I think there's incredible opportunities there with LLMs and what they are doing. Mental simulation using physics engine, agency. You needed to decide also intelligent agents. Is it the tool or is it the agent? You can have minimal agents, persistent agency, or compositional agency, which is more like a society of mind. So there are current limitations of deep learning. This is some of the limitations that Jan LeCun is spelling out. Basically, if you think about LLMs, it can't really reason. It cannot plan properly. It cannot at least do it like humans, some animals do it. So it needs to understand. So if you look at animals and humans, we understand how the world works. So we need to get better world models, not just world models that's based on what's in language, what's in information, in text as well. There's obviously a lot more in terms of what we humans do in terms of that. We need to predict what humans and some animals do is predict consequences of their actions. We also can perform chains of reasoning, an unlimited number of steps, and can plan complex tasks by decomposing into sequences of subtasks. So those are things that's important. So a machine doesn't have common sense. We've seen this. And animals and humans does have common sense. So that's something that we need to address. Now, Jan LeCun has talked about energy-based self-supervised learning and talk about this modular architecture for autonomous AI, which I like. Corresponds a little bit with Joshua Bach's system as well, unified model of cognitive of cognition. But you can see basically what he's talking about. You need a configurator of other modules. So you've got various modules. So you've got a perception model that estimates the states of the world. Then you've got a world model that actually predicts future world states. Then you've got to have a cost function that compute discomfort. This is the whole thing here in pink. You can see there's a critic and an intrinsic cost as well. And then the actor is really finding optimal action sequences. And then short-term memory is store state cost episodes. And you can see they're all interface with one another. Now, there are different approaches to energy-based models. So you can look at energy-based models, and you can see this is like the self-supervised learning, where you can get the learning and then it's predicting all the kind of blue spaces. And you can give lower energy for compatible pairs of X and Y here. And you can also say give higher energy for incompatible pairs. So you obviously want to reduce the energy. So with energy-based training, there's two categories of methods. There's contrastive methods and there's regularized methods. Jan LeCun is obviously advocating more for regularized methods. Contrasting methods is just pushing down the energy of training samples, it's pulling up the energy of suitable generated contrastive samples, but it scales very badly with dimensions as well. So it's illustrated there. And then the steps towards more kind of autonomous AI systems here is around self-supervised learning to learn representations of the world as well, and then learn predictive models of the world. And what I like about this kind of energy-based kind of system, especially the joint embedding predictive architectures, is where you're generating representations on the input side, but you're also generating representations on the output side. So you're not predicting exact outputs like you typically get with supervised learning or some of the transformer-based systems. You're actually trying to predict the representations. So you're going from input representations to output representations. And this joint embedding predictive architecture is doing a great job. So the energy-based model frameworks are good. Learning world models from observation, this is important. This is how humans and human babies and animals are doing it. And reason and planning. And that is compatible with gradient-based learning. So this is obviously what Jan LeCun is talking about, because you can differentiate that. He's obviously not advocating for symbols and logic. It's all about vectors and continuous functions as well. So I can go into more details here. He's talking about a single configurable world model engine as well. Also, some very specific positions, or he calls it crazy hypotheses. Predictions is the essence of intelligence. I agree with that. If you think about even what active inference is doing, our brain is a prediction engine. That's what we do. Active inference speaks to this as well. We're learning predictive models of the world as the basis of common sense. Almost everything is learned. This JEPA kind of horizontal JEPA, hierarchical JEPA kind of models with non-contrastive training are the thing in his mind as well. I agree. Almost everything is learned through self-supervised learning. And then intrinsic costs and architecture drive behavior and determine what we learn. Emotions are necessary for autonomous intelligence. Reasoning is an extension of simulation and prediction and planning. And consciousness exists because we have only world model engine. Now that is a hypothesis, potential crazy hypothesis, but it is something I think makes sense within this context. Now, also towards the latter part of this, I wanted to quickly just focus quickly on active inference, the free energy principle. I'm excited about this. It is a theoretical framework that explains perception, cognition, and behavior. The free energy principle, as I've mentioned earlier, it's all about, basically, it suggests the brain reduces surprise and uncertainty. That's what we do as humans. We want to go to comfort zones. Daniel Kahneman talks about system 1 and system 2. System 1, everything is automatic. System 2, we do more thinking. And we move things from system 1 to system 2 effectively in a lot of cases. If you start driving a car, it's really about initially using a lot of system 2, but then you get to system 1, where you do it on autopilot almost. So reducing surprise by making prediction based on internal models. So basically what you have here, you can see there's a brain, there's the external world. You've got internal states, and the environment's got external states. And then there's sensory states, and there's active states. So what you're trying to do is, as you observe things through sensory states, you do making predictions. You've got your own world model, predictive model that's making predictions what you will expect. So, and the goal of the brain is to align its internal model with the external model, external world, to enhance its prediction accuracy. That's what our brains are doing all the time. So we want to minimize surprise. The active inference is really about characterizing perception, planning, and action in terms of probabilistic inference, and it combines both the perception sensory side as well as the action side of things. And it creates an integrated perspective on cognition and behavior. And it's more kind of a first principles approach around single imperative to minimize free energy. And there are very specific Bayesian logic and equations that you can see here. So on the sensory side, you can see it's about free energy minimization, and we're reducing complexity as well as inaccuracy because you want to get the predictions right. And then on the active inference side, the policy side, the action side, you want to obviously look at expected free energy minimization. And there you want to obviously looking at reducing risk. This is what humans do. We try to do something with the environment, actions, planning and reasoning to reduce risk and also reduce ambiguity. So that's kind of summarizing it in a nutshell. So you almost have this kind of market blanket of where the internal world of intelligent agent of a system is separate from the external world. And the Markov blanket is really defining that. Okay, and there's many applications of this. I'm quite excited about the implications for AGI or intelligent agents. So there's going to be more talks about that. And what's also really nice about this is you can actually design explainable AI with active inference, where you can look at hidden states and you can say, what am I perceiving? What am I trying to do? And then you get a higher hierarchical level where you're looking at your hidden mental state and say, what am I paying attention to? What am I trying to pay attention to? And then you can even have meta-awareness where you say, how aware am I of where my attention is? Am I trying to maintain awareness of my attention state? So these kind of systems can be implemented that could be a lot more explainable as well. So which is fantastic. Yeah. So in summary, trustworthy, personalized AI, intelligent agents. I see the building blocks for intelligent agents as generative AI, active inference AI based on the free energy principle, and energy-based self-supervised learning. You can build these kind of personalized AI. It fits in with the AI and Web3, the next generation of the internet for a decentralized world. And it's part of a responsible evolution of autonomous AI, intelligent agents as defined by Versus as well, which I'm very excited about. And it's also very much aligned with the MTP for Humanity and Sustainable Development Goals. Yeah, and that concludes my presentation. Ready to join our mission.
Thank you so much. I think that one was a good one. Very good. To just kick us off and then just to get us in. So I think I'll take this opportunity because we're supposed to jump into our panel discussion to just get to digest what you presented and just get to talk it further. I'll take this opportunity to introduce Dr. Huri. She's here with us finally. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, yes, we can hear you. So thanks for joining us for this discussion. We're just from getting a very detailed presentation from Dr. Jacques, and I'll just have maybe one or two things before I can let Marwa take over the next session, which is now the panel discussion on the global trends of AI. So just the key takeaways, and I think you want to know the audience. If you have any questions regarding Dr. Jake's presentation, you can put the same in the chat from whichever platform you are streaming from. Remember, we said we are streaming from YouTube, we are streaming from Twitter, and we are streaming from LinkedIn. So if you have any questions from Dr. Jake's presentation, feel free to just put them in the chat, and will be able to answer the same during this panel discussion as well. I'm really glad, Dr. Jakes, you did talk about sustainable development goals and how AI aligns that. I think that's really keen. I didn't see that coming, but it's so good because Africa, we are really keen on achieving the sustainable development goals across the board. And I know AI can really help us fast track achievement of some of these goals as well. So, Marwa, thank you so much, Dr. Jess, for this presentation. I think Marwa is going to moderate
My
the
pleasure.
panel discussion on the global strengths of AI. So, Marwa, you can take this opportunity to introduce Dr. Huri and then also go ahead with the panel discussion.
Thank you for the nice introduction, and for those who have been following Dr. Jacques' presentation, which is lovely, by the way. Nothing can be understated
Thank
about
you.
that. I think there's a lot to learn and a lot to take in, but foremost, we have a new guest here. She's not entirely new to Warren and I, but I think a warm introduction is deserved to our entire audience. So, Melton, if you could take some 5 minutes perhaps to introduce yourself to the broader audience, then we could resume this panel discussion.
Thank you, Marwa. Thank you, Warren, for inviting me to this event. I'm very happy to be here with you, and I'm pleased to meet Jack. And it was a
Yes.
really nice presentation. I liked it. So I'm an educational technologist. And I'm working on the use of innovative technologies in education for the last 16 years. And especially these XR technologies and AI today, AI use of in education. You know, with this chatbots, everything changed. Its appearance in the education arena. Many people are using them, and we are very excited. How will it go on with that? With this extensive use, now our students are using, teachers are using, administrators are using, and we are trying to, set up some rules, and we are trying to find some ways. Okay, how can we make use of this AI most profitable for teaching our students in the most effective way? And also, we are not forgetting teachers. We know that teachers are under workload, especially after this invasion of technology. Let's say we are in the digital era, but after this pandemic, it is more and more. Now our teachers are trying to use these tools. So we are trying to lessen their workload, not increase. We are trying to do some research studies to use all these tools effectively. Thank you very much.
Well put, Melton. And yeah, and I think Melton's background from our previous interaction, correct me if I'm wrong, spans more into Web3 and the metaverse. She didn't outline that really, but it's nice having a blend of experience here with us today. So, yeah, on to the discussion right now, Jack. You are a well-traveled man, perhaps. I am aware of that more than anyone else that's watching. Jack is one of the pioneer voices in artificial intelligence. He'll tell us more about his initiatives and what he's doing for AI in the continent. So, you having traveled around, you having first-hand experience about artificial intelligence globally. So, how
Yes.
does it look like there? Let's start with that. So, how does the AI landscape look in more advanced countries in Europe and maybe the USA?
Yeah. So it's I was just coming from Seoul, South Korea, and it is unbelievable to see the Robot World 2030, where you see the robots and drones, and I can just see the potential of infusing that with active inference or more at state of the art AI. But what I've already experienced and seen there, it feels like another world compared to what's happening in other places. Even if you look at, I know there's Boston Dynamics and there's quite a bit of stuff in the US happening as well. But I do think there are definitely certain parts of the world, Singapore, South Korea, US, some parts of Europe, that is definitely leading big time. But what I also see, because I spent quite a bit of time across the globe and also in Africa, I see a hunger in Africa, and I was recently in Nairobi as well, and there's so much talent, and you guys are testament to that as well. But when I was there, it was a Danian Labs and ACE. I did a keynote address there as well, but engaging with people, and you can just see that they are really getting it, and they are already playing around with the technology. It's not like they are that far behind. I do think from a research perspective, there are some talent, but it's almost like a lot of the top talent are being pulled like where the well, really where the money is, and really universities is that support this as well. So there's a lot of stuff happening in Canada. There's obviously in London, the UK. There's quite a bit of stuff in the US, East and West Coast. China is doing some great stuff as well. And what I would love to see is that we've got more kind of equitable kind of world where we've got more people contribute, more diverse from all over, from Africa, from Middle East, from Asia, all sorts of places we can contribute. I see a hunger when I talk to leaders. I'm also talking to governments and so forth, and you can see there's a hunger to make a change, but you need to fix the infrastructure. Now, when I went to Dubai right after my Sahel trip, it is incredible if you go there and see how business and government and everybody's aligned and what the kind of world that they've created. It's almost like the next Silicon Valley is happening there in the UAE, effectively, in Saudi, and everybody, well, they are getting onto things there. So the vision is there, but there's also longer term thinking. I think in the West, we also have a lot of these kind of Wall Street type of thing, quarterly kind of thing, short term thinking, not necessarily think about 10 years, 15 years, 20 years ahead. This is what we're doing in China. This is what's happening in some of the Middle East countries. I know Rwanda, they are kind of Paul Kagame and people are more kind of looking at trying to think about where we need to take this. What are the steps that we need to take? So I see pockets. So Cornelius, to answer then, to summarize it almost like, I see, remember they are in exponential kind of tracks as well with the technology. So we can't wait. We will be kind of, we have to kind of leapfrog from an African perspective, from the other parts of the world perspective, because things are moving fast. We can't just rest on our laurels and say, oh, we need to fix this and this. We need to fix this and do the other parts and start collaborating. Unfortunately, I think I get inspiration also from what Kenya did with mobile money, the leapfrogging that happened there as well. So we need to do that kind of leapfrogging, think out of the box. How can we quickly adapt this? And all we need is the data infrastructure. Obviously, the internet, the communication infrastructure is very important. But then with open source, the technology is out there. So it's available for us to use. That's why I'm, like Jan LeCun, advocating for open source. What Hugging Face is doing is great. We shouldn't have these proprietary things. I think for the better world, it's going to be more important that we share in a responsible way. Obviously, be aware of bad actors, but we can actually do things even in open source to protect us as well. Yeah, but anyway, there's many dimensions. I'm quite excited about what we can do, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah, well put, Jack. I think it's quite important to note the advancement of artificial intelligence from a global perspective and compare that to what we have here locally. I think the artificial intelligence has been around for long, 8 years perhaps, since the term was first coined in 1950s. And despite the fact that it looks like a global phenomenon right now, this has been 8 years of people putting in hard work and sweat towards achieving.
Yes, I just want to make sure. Are you saying 8 years? 8. 80.
80.
That makes a lot of sense.
You're keen on that, aren't you? I wouldn't dare lie to everyone else, White, at least while you're around. Okay, so we have seen a lot of advancements, and I'm sure Jacques could follow. I would follow also along with this. And from expert systems, we have seen the development of classification algorithms, supervised learning, more recently also unsupervised learning, to what we have right now, neural networks, and also transformers more recently. That being seen as the next gate towards achieving large-based foundational models or large language models. So given all this information, what do you think Africa should do to catch up with the rest in terms of research and development? What could our continent do in order to bridge this gap and perhaps have concepts that are of our own intellectual property, pioneer innovations or groundbreaking discoveries in artificial intelligence from within, from our scope, and perhaps also these innovations could help in solving our problems? How do you think we could solve this?
Great. You're asking me, Cornelius?
Yeah.
I'm very excited about that topic as well. That's why I think I've kind of, with my presentation, I'm trying to make sense. Okay, Ray Dalio has got this saying, truth is an accurate understanding of reality and an essential foundation for producing good outcomes. Now, we know this, we operate in the world here. If we jump off a building and stuff, physics will show us that's reality. We have to be in touch with reality. And for me, we need to make sense around the whole the artificial intelligence space and pushing AI innovation. Which are the right direction things to do? Now, there's many things in the application front that we can apply our attention to. But the things that I'm trying to communicate as well in my presentation there as well, what I'm really passionate about, we got to really focus on, we don't want to waste time. And there's a lot of stuff happening, a lot of research globally, and there's a lot of infighting as well. You actually have people that's really supporting, say, the symbolic approaches or different other types of approaches, AI approaches. Now, in my mind, I'm just looking at the toolbox that's got strengths and weaknesses. And how can we, it's like Lego blocks, how do we put the right pieces together? Now, in my mind, if we want to build truly intelligent systems that's more like us, that can make a big difference, it's almost like this, what we've seen with generative AI as well, then I believe one needs to, and this is where, sorry, and I maybe just complete that sentence. There are clearly things that we can do with scalability. OpenAI has proven that in DeepMind, with reinforcement learning, with transformer-based networks. We are obviously trying to extract as much as possible. There's a bunch of research that we can do right there. So this is again where leapfrogging can come in, because we can say, if we look at the generative AI landscape, where are the low-hanging fruits and where are the things that's truly important to research? So, and we need to filter, because there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of stuff that's not going to get us the best results in terms of responsible, trustworthy, explainable AI as well, and intelligent AI. So that's one piece. Then there are things like active inference based on the free energy principle. And I think what will happen in a few years' time, people will recognize this is the new kid on the block. This is very, very important kind of technology. And there are companies that have paved the way. Also, because there's something around, we have to think about, we live in a 3D kind of world, space and time. So the current internet protocols it needs to be adapted. And now there's work being done, separate, specifically focused on the spatial web, which is really, for me, key for the Web 3.0. And the reason why that is important, because it's providing us with the context so we can build better world models. And now what's happened now with Versus, we've got this new internet protocol, spatial webs. You can do spatial computing, and you can now actually have something that can do reasoning with this in an explainable way. So for me, that is a very important thing. But that doesn't solve everything. That's why I'm not saying it's the only kid on the block. There are what Jan LeCun and I'm looking at all, and it's not only Jan LeCun, there are other very exciting stuff. I'm looking at even what Joshua Bach is doing with cognitive models, and he's got a really interesting way of thinking about things. Well, the brain, everything is very computational. But what Jan LeCun is proposing, I do think has got a lot of merit. So I would put, if I have to betting man, I would put my chips on generative AI, the current stuff, because there's so much value to unlock. I put my bets on active inference and free energy principle. I put my bets on this kind of energy-based self-supervised learning as a starting point. Now, there are people like SingularityNet, Ben Goodsell, that's talking about more kind of bringing in other symbolic components into it as well. And I do think it's got merit. So one can look at it and try and build things, because we don't need to emulate the brain exactly. If you think about aeroplanes, it's not exactly doing what birds are doing. But it's still about the principles as well. So to summarize, I believe I've laid out, kind of done some filtering where I think we need to focus. And I would love to see that we've got top talent and as many people as possible on the African continent and globally really zooming in on these kind of things. And there's others as well, but I would say these are already ones that we should focus on. and then start building the kind of solutions that we want. And for me, it's around the personalized AI kind of solutions, because I'm really want to see everybody benefiting from this, not just a tech giant. So I would love to see that we innovate, but then that we apply this in a proper way. And as you guys talked about, we've got the Sustainable Development Goals. We've got this kind of massive transformative purpose for humanity. So let's implement solutions towards that better world as well. So that excites me as well. So both excites me. The innovation, I love understanding the human brain. I love understanding natural intelligence and so forth. But I also love the application side.
Well put, Jacques. Yeah, I think the next question goes to Melton. Your background is in education, right? And some of the ethical concerns posed by artificial intelligence, by AGI, which Jacques is a strong advocate for. We'll get back to that shortly. And I think most people are worried about AI taking away their jobs. So how's that in education, Melton? Are you worried that perhaps an AI agent could render you useless? Perhaps you could go find another profession. Or do you think the integration between artificial intelligence and human intuition could help us forge perhaps new discoveries and help us, get work done easily, become better educators?
Well, this is the prominent question in every other discussion when we are talking about this AI use in education, if it will take the place of teachers. Basically, no, because what I think is it's a great technology to help support teachers. The way they are teaching, okay, as learning resources, supplementary materials, and with this intelligent tutoring systems and personal assistants, we can somehow enrich our teaching, and we can offer our students to learn from another tool, okay, from another teacher, let's say. So it will not take the place. It's a great opportunity for teachers. And also not only for teaching, but for also assessing the grades, okay? It's another tool. These AI tools are very, very beneficial for the teachers. And also it is for helping us for the administrative works in educational institutions, okay? By detecting the students' progress, by monitoring each student's progress, they can report to the educational institutions about each student's learning style, preferences, the way they learn, how they learn, okay, their expectations about the learning process. So this gives us a kind of feeling, and we learn about students' strengths, their weaknesses, their learning styles. So with this adaptive systems, okay, so educational institutions can work on their programs and for better teaching to these students. And it is also good for individual differences. We know that some students learn fast, some students are a little bit slow. So with this personalized learning systems, which are AI-based, we can detect those students, and the AI system, adaptive system, can offer them extra materials to work on, or if they are advanced, some extra materials offered. But if they are behind the class, and let's think that these students are weak, so they are supported with some extra learning materials. So that's an amazing tool. And also for learning analytics, it's long time ago it started. This learning analytics also give us to get the whole picture of a class, not only the individual students, but a class or an educational environment. So with these data, these insights we have, we can make up our programs. We can review them. We can improve them. So these are amazing tools, okay? The teachers, the support for teachers. When we talk about the new technology, a little bit teachers are, hesitating because their plates are already full, okay? They are under the too much workload. They want to use technologies. We know they are very excited to use new technologies, but what about how to start using it, how to embed into their teaching, and they don't want to redefine their way of teaching. So this AI technology is actually there to support these teachers, to offer them some extra learning material, extra teaching materials for assigning, for assignments, for grading assignments, students' assignments, and their assessments. And also, there are great opportunities offered by AI for teachers for their professional development. So these are all helpful, actually, for empowering education by the help of AI. And also, these students, these AI tools are not only monitoring students' achievement and success, but also their motivation and engagement. If there are some students, they are disengaged with the lesson, they are demotivated, let's say, and these AI tools are there to intervene, a timely intervention, okay? They can they can help teachers and again the institutions to do something for these students. So there are many opportunities, as I said, for educational institutions and teachers. And there are also these days these chatbots are extensively used. In one research I've read that almost 85% of the US students are using these chatbots, not only this ChatGPT, the well-known one, but also the Google Bard and some others. They use it. There comes the question, this copy pasting, okay? This is the basic question. Actually, even some researchers are copy pasting, and like now there are some detecting systems, it started to appear to if something is written by a ChatGPT too. But actually, the thing should be here. How should we use these tools effectively for their learning, for students' learning, especially for, this teaching by higher order thinking skills, improving students' higher order thinking skills is the main issue, okay? While we are teaching, how can we improve students' higher order thinking skills like problem solving skills, critical thinking skills, okay? With AI tools, working collaboratively with AI tools, with their personal assistant, we can make it. So as a tech person, I strongly suggest using this ChatGPT, beginning from these text generators, all the AI tools in our education. But the thing we should do is, how should we make use of them effectively, ethically, okay? And in the right way that meet our audience, our learners' needs, expectations, their learning styles and paces. This is the question, actually, because these technologies are there and many will on the way to come, as it happened in the past. We should decide which methodologies we should use these technologies. Okay, because these technologies, media, we call them in EdTech, is always there. In the well-known Clark-Kozma debate, maybe you have heard of it. It's a debate going for decades. So if the media or the methodology, I'd say methodology comes first, but we should use these technologies, these media, well, for the sake of teaching our students in the most effective way. Isn't it, Jack?
Melton, I can't agree more with you. This is also a subject that is I'm so passionate about. I've invested also in a company, in a educational AI-driven educational company as well. I wrote about this in my book as well, ultra personalized kind of education. We talk about the fourth educational revolution that we are in right effectively, and I'm so happy with the disruption happening. It needs to happen on all levels, from primary school all the way up to university kind of level, and we need to embrace these things, because in the end it's really about, we need critical thinking, first principle thinking. There's different ways of evaluating and testing and working with people. So And we need to obviously be fine with change and all of these kind of things. So those kind of 21st century skills and competencies that we know are the important things. What I envisage also with personalized AI is this lifelong and life-wide learning assistant. Just imagine you've got a personalized AI. Said a few hundred years from now, I'm sure if we don't damage humanity and we are on still a positive path, that I think we would be able to have our own AI assistant that's batting for us, supporting us, but it's helping us to understand concepts and stuff and know where we are in terms of understanding the building blocks and understanding our world model maybe better and so as well. So I do believe that there's an incredible opportunity to create this kind of lifelong, life-wide learning. For me, it's embedded as part of this personalized AI. And I would love to see these kind of applications, obviously in education. Another one is healthcare and wellness, to make smarter decisions, mental health, and all of those kind of things, because there's some education happening at that time as well. But education is for me almost one of the most important applications, most positive, beneficial application for humanity. And that's why I talk about this quite a bit in my book as well. If you think about even character or wisdom, those kind of things, it's all part of the educational ladder, so to speak. So, and it's not just about the knowledge, it's about wisdom and applying the knowledge in the right ways. And people need to be educated to do those kind of things as well. So, and also have to steel man other thoughts and other approaches as well. So I think it's very important for sense making to really understand the other point of view. And I think we can create more empathy as well with other people and all of these kind of things. So education touches it's such a crucial note. And so I would love to talk to you also further. I know you're kind of clearly a specialist in this area. I wrote about it. I'm passionate about it. I think it's for me very much part of the kind of solutions and systems that we need to build for humanity. So as many people as possible can benefit. Because as humans, just maybe a final comment on this. As humans, we all run narratives in our heads. We've got a prediction engine and stuff. And if we can just increase the wisdom levels, the knowledge levels, the wisdom levels of humanity globally, you increase the
Melton, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think there's a disconnection. The internet is not stable. It goes down.
Yeah, I think that's the case with Jacques. Public Wi-Fi can get a bit messy. So yeah, if you're following along from our broader audience, I thank you so much for making time. Jacques, full of wisdom, in fact, he imparted some of that to us here. And Melton, of course, has a lot to share. I believe Jacques has been locked out, unfortunately. I bet he'll join us shortly. So if you're following with us, please invite a friend, share with everyone. We are streaming live from YouTube, we're streaming live from Twitter, and we're privileged here today to host a host of events. Sorry, a host of speakers spanning from different backgrounds. We have been privileged to have Dr. Jacques, who is a renowned figure in artificial intelligence across the continent, an author, and also an advocate for the adoption of artificial intelligence in Africa. He's based in South Africa. Also, allow me to acknowledge the fact that we are privileged to also have a diverse audience from all across our continent and also beyond our continent. Melton is from Turkey, right? Jacques from South Africa. I think we're privileged to have speakers from 15 different nationalities,
Wow.
and we're also privileged to have listeners from 20 plus different nationalities within our ecosystem. So if you're following with us, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, also follow our Twitter page. And also, more importantly, Intelliverse.ai is a platform to nurture artificial intelligence research. You can join us, or you can join our initiative if you are in artificial intelligence, data science, AI engineering, etc., machine learning engineering. If you have a concept in artificial intelligence or you want to take part in a research project, feel free to join our platform to in order to be part of our broader ecosystem to help in the adoption and also advancement of artificial intelligence throughout our continent. Meltem, nice having you. So those who haven't met Meltem, she is one of the most lively people you'd ever come across, lively and passionate. I think these are two really important traits that all of us should adopt, especially those who are keen on advancement in artificial intelligence. That first of all, we have to be interested in knowing what we're getting into and also knowing what advancement of artificial intelligence will be. Meltem has a wealth of experience working in projects, etc. Perhaps she would outline that in her presentation here shortly. So Meltem, I think you had prepared a presentation for audience today.
Yeah, I can share with you if you like. Sure.
Yeah, the floor is yours. I think we could have.
Do we have time? It seems like 12 minutes. Is that? Am I right?
No,
so I have to.
Don't worry too much about time because I think 15 minutes should be enough because of our next speaker should join us at about 11.
I can finish it in 15 minutes. So I'm sharing my screen, so I will not be able to see you. Okay. Is it?
Jacques,
I'm back here. I lost the internet, but yeah. So thank you very much. It was awesome. So
yeah. Jacques,
yes.
So I was just about I summarized what I had in my presentation in my talk. Actually, maybe also I can make. Jake was speaking, so it's cut. Maybe Jake, you can finish your words, and I can make some additions, and we can.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you were able. It's probably just finishing off my part of this as well. I just want to say I don't know what was lost and what, but I'm personally incredibly passionate about education. I think it's one of the most important areas of application for AI. I think it's incredibly important for Africa specifically, and it's a way for us to leapfrog by adopting kind of personalized AI education at scale. So we should remove all the barriers. If there's internet barriers, infrastructure barriers, invest there. So what I would recommend for national AI strategies, not just the African continent, obviously globally, but if Africa won, this is the AI Africa Summit, if we want to really move forward quicker, I would say, what are the basic infrastructure we need here? I would say internet costs need to be reduced. It should be accessible. We shouldn't have the problems. The infrastructure, super important. Access to data, access to the internet. Then I would say, really go hard after personalized education at scale on all the various levels. So what Dr. Melton, Professor Dr. Melton is doing, very important, and I'm passionate about it. Even with personalized AI that I think about, very important. We've got AI-driven wellness companion kind of solutions where we're looking at mental health and those kind of things as well. That's really at the intersection of education and healthcare. Very important that we democratize that, so the benefit goes to as many people as possible. And that's the opportunity, and at least that excites me. So as an entrepreneur, I'm optimistic. Yes, there's things that can go wrong and all of it, but let's focus on the positive things and carve out this positive world for ourselves as humanity. So, and we just need visionary leadership and then execution around this. We need wisdom to make the right choices, but very excited about this. And thanks, Warren, Cornelius, for you guys as well, Intelliverse. I'm quite excited about but what you guys are doing as well, because you need these kind of people that really is drivers. They want to make a difference here, and they want to create communities, and they want to build solutions, and they want to advance the state of the art in AI, and we want to build these applications. Personally, I identify with that, and we need to set an example for others as well to follow.
May I add some more to what Jack said? He summarized it very well. Actually, what I think is, as Jack said, these personalized learning tools, intelligent tutoring systems, these adaptive systems can be Can we call it a solution? But I don't know. But it's a great potential for this teacher shortage, infrastructure problems they have, not only in Africa, with many parts of the world. I'm working with Philippines, with the Philippines. The same problems are going there. So it is something basic, actually common in many parts of the world. So this teacher shortage, and especially this infrastructure problem, maybe somehow with this AI tools can be solved, let's say. And also there are disabled people, these kind of tools with text to speech, speech to text, for example. There are great opportunities for them to learn, okay? What I say is, okay, we are going to use these AI tools more and more in education. Although we are doing some research studies, how can we make use of them much better way? We are implementing some tools. We are trying some tools in our classes and trying to measure its effects on students' learning, achievement, their motivation, engagement, many other variables we are working on. So in time, this will be much clearer. But I really, as a tech person, believe in the potential of AI in education. I think the market believes in the same thing. So I would like to share with you some reports, okay? According to the market report, at the end of we came to the end of the 2023, the market, this AI in education market will grow up to 3.7 million. So, and in 2024, the UNESCO reports indicates that it will be expected to be worth of $6 billion. And the global market insights also states that the AI in the education market will exceed 80 billion by the 2030s. So these are great numbers. So not only us, the market also has a kind of belief in this. So we will see in time what happens about this AI in education. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay. Let me just go in, Marwa, on this. Just one question for both of our speakers of this panel. So one goes to, I think I'll start with Dr. Huri. I believe you are from almost two continents. Yeah, Turkey has a part of it in Europe, and Turkey also has a part of it in Asia. So you're sharing experience from Europe and Asia as well. So maybe you can tell us what exactly is going on as far as AI is concerned in those two continents, and how can we as Africans borrow from that, maybe, or collaborate with the people from Europe and also people from Asia and Middle East. I know Jacques has a lot of experience, so he can contribute on this one as well. But you can tell us what's happening in Europe and Asia that's positive and also bad, and then how can we in Africa borrow from the development from those two continents?
Well, as I said, actually these tools are used widely, all globally. I mean, I cannot make a difference between Asia and Europe. Yes, Turkey is in between countries, but we are heavily using, them. Our students are using, teachers started to use. Everyone, I have an international network. I'm talking to people from around the world, and they say that they are using these tools very effectively and very beneficial actually for our teaching. The thing is, as I said, we have to know how to make use of them, how to embed them into our teaching, an educational system, a current educational system, because we are open to innovative technologies. Unless there is another plus thing into our workload, there is a research I read about. It collects the perceptions of teachers, educators towards these AI tools. They say that they don't want no more workload, but they are helpful. If they are helpful, they want to embed them. This is the actually common thing, I think, and I cannot make the difference between Asia, Europe, all around Turkey and globally, whoever I talk. not only for our teaching, for our administrative works, even we are getting help in our research studies, okay? But this doesn't mean, and the student should not mean that we do copy pasting, okay? And also for researchers I'm talking to, there are some now the indexes and the journals are detecting this, for example, the works written by text generators. Okay, these tools are improving, and some other side tools, let's say, are developing in the market and in the education. So what I say is actually the common concerns, okay, how we use them and effectively, ethically, how can we embed to our educational systems? So we have to work on this. This is the basic issue, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Dr. Jakes has left us. So I'm still just back to what he was presenting before about the development, sustainable development goals
Yeah.
with AI, and I know education is also a major key player into
Yeah,
that.
four.
And like, so if you've worked with the university specifically, universities, that's where most of the research is, right? So
Yeah.
maybe you can tell us if there are any frameworks that most of the university you've talked to or know are put into place to make sure that AI research is uh, really enhanced, and like if these measures are they, and if there's any way we can improve on those measures to make sure that research within universities, because I think most of the students are in the universities, PhD holders, masters are also within the university. So how do we make sure that if there are measures in place, how do we improve on those measures?